just a little bit bigger now. Our song on the radio, but it don't sound the same. When our friends talk about you, all it does is just tear me down.
So my book takes place in the Bottom, Ohio, from 1921 to 1965. The main characters are Sula Peace, and she's the main protagonist in this book. And she's the main character, though. The whole entire city of the Bottom is really affected by her return and when she leaves. And she's like this crazy carefree, like, she kind of has that YOLO attitude, like, as much as I hate to say that, like, it's kind of how she is. And she's kind of naughty and promiscuous. Her grandmother is her guardian after her mom, Hannah, died. Ava is very crazy too. Like, they're a very family-oriented community, and it's mostly a black community, and the Bottom is on a hill. So it's above a richer, wealthier, white community below. And Ava would do anything for her family. Like, she stepped in front of a train to get her leg ripped off so she could collect insurance money to pay for her family. Hannah Peace is Sula's mother, and she's very carefree as well. She's kind of like Sula, but she burns to death in a fire very early on in the book, and Sula just watches, which is weird. Nell Wright is another main protagonist in the story. She is like the absolute opposite of Sula. She's very, very goody two shoes or whatever, and she's just kind of pretty much perfect in a lot of ways. And Helen Wright is Nell's mother, and she wants her to be exactly like Helen wants Nell to be exactly like her, like uptight, strict, perfect little, you know. And then another main character is Chicken Little, and he is basically involves the main event in the story, one of the very main events that makes Sula and Nell leave. Sula leave, and Sula and Nell stop being friends. Alright, so the summary of the book is, it takes place in Ohio, in the 1920s to the 1965. It's kind of like a period of span, you know what I mean? Okay, so Sula leaves after all this happened with Chicken Little, and what happened with Chicken Little was Nell and Chicken Little and Sula were playing down by the river, and she was swinging him around, and she let go on accident, and he drowned, but they didn't tell anybody, so no one knows. So they really felt guilty about that, and Nell blamed Sula for that, so they started like drifting away big time during high school and stuff. And then Nell stayed in the Bottom, but Sula left, and she went to have this big party college life. Like, she was crazy, like, partied all the time. And so that happened, and then she came back. Like, her presence back in the community took a big change on the Bottom. Like, they thought of her as this bad, naughty, alcoholic, promiscuous, sex-hungry girl. Like, she's still that girl from back whenever. And so by that time, Nell had been married, and so that is a big effect on that town. But overall, when Sula returns, like, the town becomes closer, and Sula cheated with Nell's husband, and that became like another big drama issue, which, I mean, I can see why it would be, but Nell eventually forgave her, but it was after Sula got sick and died during that period. And after that happened, the Bottom really broke apart and nothing was right anymore. The connections that the author had with the book were, Toni Morrison was born in Ohio, and this takes place in Ohio. The impact on the world. Okay, so this book got a lot of lesbian criticism, if you know what I mean. It's because of Nell and Sula's relationship at the very beginning of the story. And it also, I guess, had some heterosexual ways, you know, I don't know. I didn't really understand it. I didn't think it was. The age level I would suggest is for high schoolers because, it's a really good read. Like, once you get it and you get into the good parts, it's really good. But the beginning is really boring. Like, sometimes I was just like, oh my god, when can the book actually start? As opposed to some books, you're just like, at the beginning, it's just like chop, chop, chop into the main line of events. But this one, I mean, it's a good book, and it's not one of those books where you're just like, oh my gosh, can the book get over with? But it's one of those books where it's like you're satisfied with it. The perspective is third person of Sula, and the symbolism was like the water's like crazy, like it's kind of compared to her life, because her life is really crazy. Like there's so many events that has happened to her that make her life really rough and kind of like water, like crazy waterfalls and blah blah. The personal connections are, I live in a small town, Badger, and it takes place in a small town of Ohio. I can't say that word. And that's pretty much it. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you read this book, because I don't think you'll regret it. So bye.
It feels just like it was yesterday. We were in love, was I falling apart? I've never been one to walk away, but I've had enough, and it's breaking my heart. 'Cause you love me.